Hello, everybody. Psychic Soul Senses. Okay, I want to read a little piece of my book, and it is about, I haven't come up with the title yet, but I've been working on it all year, off and on, and it's about my spiritual awakening and my experiences. This gentleman, he's a doctor. He was on Rex Baird's show. I think it was yesterday or the day before. His name is Scott Taylor, and I wrote him after I watched the video because his book is about out-of-body experiences, but shared death experiences, and that's what happened to me. I have had a couple of shared death experiences. One of them wasn't as intense. The first one wasn't as intense as this last one was. And a shared death experience is when someone passes on, but you share part of their crossing over experience with them. And it's like you get taken out of it's like your soul gets taken out of your body, and you're with them, and it feels good. It feels really good. It feels loving. It feels more real than reality, like than what we perceive as reality. And you get a lot of information from the loved one that has crossed over. Like, they pass on knowledge to you that they had at the time of their passing. When my husband died, it was 2019, March 22nd, when he had passed away. And the shared death experience actually started on 11/11 of 2018. That was his birthday, and I woke up that day from a dream that I had where we were at his funeral, and this hooded woman took us. We were like in this marble building, and this hooded woman took us into this back room, and when we walked in, all we could see was this casket up front. And I remember looking at the casket and nudging Derek, and I was like, "Hey man, we're at your funeral." And he was like, "I don't care, I ain't afraid to die." And you could see the marquee was saying his name and the date he died and all that stuff. And I was nervous, because I practice lucid dreaming, so when I start recognizing I'm in a dream, like my instinct started kicking in, and I'm like, wait a minute, he's not really dead. This is definitely a dream. I need to wake up. But at the moment in my dream, I'm actually going to a different part of the funeral home, and he stays there. And I see a different part. But after he passed, that dream, I had remembered the rest of it that I couldn't remember. And it was crazy. But let me read what I sent to him. I don't know what he's going to do with my story, but I wanted to share it. Now, he's wrote a couple books himself. I have given him permission to use my story if he wants in one of his stories. That's fine with me, because he researches these things, and he himself had a shared death experience. So anyway, here's what I wrote to him. I told him I had just woke from a very real dream where my husband and I had attended my husband's funeral. We had been having issues. He was getting into things I didn't do. I had made a choice to leave because I didn't want to watch him die. I had told him about the dream. He thought it was crazy because he remembered parts of the dream also. That morning he was like, "That's crazy because I had a death dream too." I said, "Well, tell me about it. Maybe we can talk through it." And he wouldn't tell me. He said, as I was telling him mine, that his was a little different, but he didn't want to talk about it. So I had told him about the dream. He thought it was crazy. He remembered the dream also. My husband knew it was a shared death dream, and he did. And it was weird, but what happened next, we didn't expect. The dream was crazy. A lady in a hooded robe took us to a white marble granite hall. Before we entered a room, she said we were going to witness a beautiful love story. I have since found out then what I was saying is when I was brought back to the dream, I realized the connection that we all have with each other. Like there's a soul connection with every single person. Like we are all connected. It's hard to explain, but because of this experience, that's what led me to that understanding. So there was rows and rows of chairs in this room that she took us to, and there's a casket up front, and above the casket a marquee reads Derek Lee Barker. I look at Derek and say, "We're at your funeral." I knew this dream was going to come true because of death dreams of others in my past, but what happens after has never happened. I was losing my second marriage, and I needed to get real of where I was with God. I always had huge spiritual experiences, but every time I couldn't talk about it because people think I'm evil. I was raised Catholic, and my experiences go against my religion. So my husband and I split, and I began a spiritual journey to physically find God so that I do not have to go through another split again. Not like that. Like what I was thinking is if I can heal the things that I hadn't healed that led me to like the wrong choices, that I would never have to go through that again, right? My husband and I separated first. We were going to do the 6 months of separation, and if decided, we would divorce. So we communicated a couple times a week, and during this time apart, I had decided to start meditation. On January 4th, 2019, we had talked. He had admitted his addiction and how he was now getting sick from it. I cried, and I went to meditate and ask how I could love someone so much and want so much good for someone, and it doesn't seem to matter. And what I was really thinking at the time was, how can, it doesn't matter how much you care about somebody if they don't care about themselves, even though you want, the best for that person. You want for them what you would want for yourself, right? The ultimate best. That's unconditional love. That's love without, it didn't matter to me how much the man had hurt me. I wanted the best for him. So, my very first source communication happened. I was speaking to a male and female energy. The sky lighting is different, and the love I feel is crazy. Never felt love like this. So I ask, why is this happening? And they say, you have a pure heart. So they also tell me all my answers will come in 3 months. Now, I was shocked, and no one else could see or hear what I was witnessing. But it felt great. Okay, I had to stop this day, that meditation, and I had to go pick up my granddaughter. And the interesting thing was she, too, on the way home, had noticed how when I felt like an angel was communicating with me, she could see the difference in our immediate atmosphere, right? So, on 1/4/2019 was crazy, because you know how on that side, one wave of loving energy is so much information to unpack. I had received all my answers and asked all my questions telepathically. The information was received would take at least 3 months to unpack. There was so much love. I had asked Source that day. At first, I thought it was a female. So, I thought God was a female because I heard a female's voice. But then I heard the male's voice. And one of the things that come through was because I was like, why do you have to go through so many trials and tribulations to get to God or your higher power? And the answer I got was Jacob's ladder. The story of Jacob's ladder in the Bible, and how God killed him in the flesh but brought him back, like it was a spiritual birth, but a death of his ego. Okay, and transmutation came through, and I couldn't understand that either, because it actually came through as an equation. In the middle of the night, I woke up writing an equation and drawing the symbol for transmutation. And then my cat jumped on me, and I woke up, and I had lost the other part of the equation. It took 6 months to figure out the rest of the equation and what the symbol had meant later on. But this opened the doors for other things to come through, because this is when I realized that we're definitely not alone in this universe. Like, it's just almost to the point of psychotic to think that we're alone. There's a different word I'm looking for. It's like, how could we be so arrogant to think that we're the only people, right? Like, this world has been here, the universe has been here billions of years, and we are the only ones. It doesn't make sense. So all that stuff started coming about, and I had seen my first real big blue orb showed up in the sky after all this happened too, and that was really cool. My son seen it at the same time I did. He was 14 at the time, and I remember him coming out in the driveway, because we live on 18 acres, and I remember him coming out and saying, hey, what's this? What is that? And I was like, what do you think it is? And he started telling me. I don't know, but I feel like a lot of love from it. And I did too. So, anyways, let me finish this. So I go on to tell him that I received the call on March 17th, 2019, that they are about to put my husband under on life support system. Okay, so they're about to put him on the life support system, and he is at the ER department at St. Mary's in Huntington, West Virginia. And the nurse is telling me, as we speak on the phone, because she tells me how sick he is, and they will have to put him under soon, and that when I get there, he's going to go ahead, he will be under. She's telling me how sick he is, and he can barely speak himself. There was infection so bad it had traveled in his blood, and he was septic. I dropped the phone and I ran to the hill where my guides and energies from 3 months before had come through, and I asked if this was it. Now, this is where it gets interesting because I grew up Catholic, like I said, and I never was taught to meditate. Now, I have been a reader on tarot cards my whole life, and I'm actually very good at it. I'm quite good at it, and I just have to pick up on your frequency. Like, you tell me your name, your birthday, and I pick it up. So, okay, so here it is, 3/17/2019. I'm clearly upset, and this loving female energy started guiding me through a meditation where I pull love into my heart and I send it through source. So I would like pull it up into my heart and I would like send it up through God, right? And I would imagine it going down through Him and back through Earth and back up around me. And she said, on the in breath, you pull in as much love as you can. And on the out breath, you pull out all the pain and hurt that you got to release, right? So, she adds that this meditation may not save his life, but it will ensure that he goes back to source instead of being stuck here because of addiction. So, after this, though, I did read that souls can get stuck because of addiction or sudden death if they're not expecting it. And I felt like I definitely didn't want that to happen to him. So, I didn't tell anybody about this. I wanted to be sure I wasn't losing my mind. So, on the 7th day of the life support, my guide preparing me on the 21st 15-minute meditation of the entire week that day, he would be crossing over. And she did. She started telling me during that meditation, preparing me, that he would be crossing over that day. And he did. And I felt it. So on 3/22/2019, around 4:44 p.m., I felt him cross through me. Then after that, nothing until the middle of the night. About 3:15 a.m., I woke to my TV in the family room coming on full blast, and channels were changing. And finally, it stopped on the news. Now, I knew immediately who it was. I don't like the news. I don't watch the news. Not a big news person. But he did. And I knew it was him. And in my mind, I was like, hey, you're going to wake up the kids. And the TV shut off. A couple other things started happening. It was little things like I had stayed up all night meditating after that. And he sat at the funeral home for like 7 days before we could get all the money together for the funeral. So during that time, like during meditation, during the day, I seen this like iridescent orb thing, and it had knots on it. Well, when I looked that up, I found out later on that that was the soul without a body, and they have that in the Egyptian tombs over there. Well, not tombs, but the Egyptian pyramids in Egypt. So, the following nights, he had created some paranormal things to happen. And I understood this as he was gaining his new balance, right? So we buried him on the 30th of March 2019. I showed up early so I could talk to him. I wanted to cuss him out. I was mad. I was mad because he was only 39 years old, and I couldn't believe that this was happening. However, I believe now that when we have a physical death here, it's actually a birth. We're having a physical birth over there. And that's why they say we should mourn a birth and celebrate a death, because you actually transform. You don't die. So we buried him on the 30th. I showed up early so I could talk to him. His mother had his personal belongings from the hospital. I was leaving. She handed over a bag of his things, and I felt him even stronger than ever before. It was like she had handed him to me. I said in my head, "Hold on, Derek, we will talk at home." The drive home was crazy because he was right there the whole time. I felt his giddiness, and I was excited to get to talk. I pulled up my drive and said, "Allow me to settle my grandchildren, and we need to meet on the deck." I walked outside, and I could see him. He was kind of an iridescent, clear, but definitely there. I sat down, and I drew breath, and my soul was shot out of my body. My stomach was spinning so fast, and the love was so strong. I felt joy, love, and so much more at once. It was like complete ecstasy. Okay. He began to tell me that frequency was everything, and we had talked about that before. He said life is more than the physical, and he is very much alive, just transformed. He could feel the pain of all that he had a part of in hurting. He tells me a lot more, and I say, "Prove it." I walk inside, and my 2-year-old granddaughter says, "Hey, Mimi, there's a guy in your room." Now, I end it with, if you have any more questions, feel free to ask, and thank you for your time, Krista. Anyways, so I've been dying to get my story out to a professional, especially a professional. He's a psychiatrist, and he has 4 or 5 books out. And I would love for someone like him to read my story. And he had a spiritual experience just like mine. So, well, not exactly like it, but like it. And he said that he was out of his body. And he said that he felt love and that he got information from them. And the information comes like a packet of information. And it's so much to unpack, like you get a whole bunch at one time. It took me months to unpack everything he had told me. And he had even talked about COVID, that something big was going to happen, that in my lifetime I would be watching a few different things happen, which I'm not going to talk about. But definitely teaching my grandkids was one of them. COVID. And he also said that life is like a game and that we control our avatar from up here. He also said that we do life reviews, and that that's what people think is God, judging them. It's not. It's us. We judge ourselves. And that humans need to learn to do that before they die, because you get stuck in a reincarnation cycle when you're on your deathbed thinking about what I could have done, what I could have done different, how I could have done this better, how could I have fixed this. But if you leave the world knowing that you're done, that you've done everything that you could, that you actually release your soul to God. So, anyways, I just wanted to get that out there. I know it's deep. Hey guys, I'm trying to build my channel, so can you like, share, and subscribe? And hope everybody has a good day. Bye.